This conference is amazing, and there are so many brilliant sessions. And one of the problems is scheduling. And when you're a speaker, sometimes that scheduling is really hard, because I'd like to be in one of the other sessions, but I got to be here. But that's okay. So who am I? My name's Rob. You may call Beard, because Chrissy calls me Beard, so it seems acceptable that anybody else can. I was a production SQL DBA. Now I do automation and DevOps, mainly in the data platform world, but anywhere. You can find out more about me at rob.sewell.info. I love PowerShell, I love SQL, I love automating things. Even though I've got a beard, a grey beard, I still play cricket, which only a few English people will understand, because not many in the world understand cricket. I speak and I help organize lots of PowerShell conferences and SQL conferences and user groups, far too many things. And I love building open source tooling. So along with Chrissy and 98 other people, we've written 5 billion commands for working with SQL Server. And we've also written Dba Checks and Dba reports. And because I do all this stuff, Microsoft said, hey, you're awesome, become an MVP. So I was very, very pleased about that. So this morning we had to get up. We had to drink an appropriate liquid. For me, it's always coffee, but I understand that other people have different requirements. Learn loads at PSConf.eu. Are your minds blown? Are you, oh, yeah, it's okay. This one's easy. It's cool. And create a continuous delivery process for delivering modules to the PowerShell gallery, which is easier to do than it is to say. So, to achieve this process, what we need to do is we need to have plaster. In England, a plaster is the thing that you put around a little cut when you've got a baby owie, and sometimes you put a smiley face on it, I was brave. But it's not that sort of plaster. And we need Pester, because Pester is amazing and awesome. Hopefully you all went to Jacob's session yesterday. If not, I thoroughly recommend that you watch the video. In fact, watch all of the videos. They'll be available on powershell.video. You need a GitHub account, because source control is important. How many people in here are operational? Ops? Yeah. Okay. Ops people, keep your hands up. How many of you ops people write code? Yeah, you're all developers. It's true. It's true. So we need GitHub. We need to be able to source control our code. And we need a VSTS account. There are other ways of doing this. There are other continuous delivery solutions that you can use for that. But we're going to use VSTS. So we're not going to be able to do a lot of detail, but we are going to go through this entire process. So we need VSTS because it's free. Because the point of doing this is we want to be able to deliver our PowerShell modules nice and easily to the gallery. But if we're doing it for a community thing, because we're sharing the great code that we're writing, like DBA tools, like Dba Checks, like all the modules that you guys write, we don't necessarily want to have to pay for that or to put it onto our company's account. So VSTS is great because it's free. It's free for up to 5 users and up to 20 repositories. And you can have a build job that runs for 60 minutes. And you can use 240 minutes of build time in a month for nothing, which is more than enough to be able to continuously deliver your PowerShell module to the gallery. We use VSTS because it enables us to automate all of this process. So when we get a new PR, we can do some gate approval checks. We can make sure it's not going to break anything. And then we can press a button and let VSTS take care of everything else, including updating the module number, because who wants to remember to go into the manifest file and update the version? Yeah. You do publish module to the gallery and it goes, nah, this version is not higher than the one that's already there. Dope. Enables us to sign our code. You know, we can use the VSTS secure file sign all of our code automatically so we don't have to go and run that manual step anymore. Publish to the gallery. Don't even need to remember what command we need to run. We can just do that, let it go. Because the most important thing really is, if you are doing something more than once, automate it. So if you're publishing your module to the PowerShell gallery more than once, which hopefully you all are as you improve it, find bugs, add new features, automate it. You guys know why we should have modules. Because they are better than having .ps1 scripts floating around everywhere. Yeah. It enables modularity and code reuse. Enables us to easily share all of this great code that we've written. Why do we need to have the PowerShell gallery? Why would we not have the PowerShell gallery? Far better to enable our users to be able to install straight from the command line than to have to go to our GitHub repo and either clone it or download the zip and then unzip it and put it into the right place. And yeah, hey, let's just let the PowerShell gallery make use of that. Plaster enables us to template our module structure. Because if we're building more than one module, because we're all amazing PowerShell people and we have more ideas, we're going to build more modules. And if you're doing something more than once, automate it. Plaster enables us to write a template for our module, and then creating a new module with everything that we need is just the run of a button. Pester. Pester is really important for unit testing our code. We just had that conversation. You're all developers now because you're writing code, you're source controlling it. We're doing CI and CD, or hopefully you will be by the time you get back to your shop. So we need to make sure that our code is doing what we expect it to do, and that when we make improvements, they're not going to stop it from doing what we expected it to do. It enables us to have some control over some confidence when we take PRs from the community to make sure that nothing's been broken. And Script Analyzer enables us to make sure we've got good, proper practice. We're not breaking any silly rules. We've learned at the PowerShell conference this year how you can write your own Script Analyzer rules for the own things that you want. And documentation. We love doing documentation. Yeah, no. But having unit testers with good titles enables us to describe, yeah, that's a fine. You can pay me later. And of course, it's the same thing. If you're doing something more than once, automate it. So, now that you've learned all that you need to know, should we see it in action? Yes. No? Okay. Does somebody have a question? Anybody got any questions on this process and why we should do it? No, Rob. Show us some code. Okay. So I am a strong believer in Pester. We must use Pester to unit test our code and make sure everything works. But Pester is also really good for validating our environment. It's one of the things that we do with Dba Checks. And it's also one of the things that I do before I do a presentation. I want to make sure that everything is as it should be and that we don't have any red. Yeah, green is good, red is bad. Well, we're okay. When we're doing environmental checks. When we're doing unit testing for our code, green is good, red is also good. Because we need to run our test. We need to write our test first, and we need to run it to make sure it fails. So we're going to get some red. And whenever we get any red, it's actually telling us that there's something that we need to fix in our code. So it's also a good thing. Ultimately, we want to have green all of the time. So, Rob, make sure you set your variables, because that's important. So we talked about plaster. So this is my plaster template. And this is the first thing you need to do, is just create a folder with the things that you require for your plaster. My plaster template is on GitHub. Go and take it and steal it and modify it and make sure it works for you. Absolutely exactly what it's for. And this enables us to set up a structure for our module. And your structure might be different. I'm not saying this is right, I'm just saying that this works as a base for me. So we've got our functions folder, our internal folder, our tests folder. Let's have a look in our tests folder. In our test folder, we've got this wonderful script that June Blender wrote that enables us to check with Pester that we've written all of the good help for our module, because we don't want to be the support for our module. If you're getting communications from people, whether it's at work or community, saying, oh, how does this script work? What's happening with this? You're not writing good enough help. Or maybe you're not writing good enough acceptance messages. But generally, if you can write good help. So this enables us to at least make sure we have help for all of our parameters. We have some examples. It's all there and included. We don't have to worry about it. We can just run that. It's going to work against all of the scripts in our module. And project tests. We've also got our script analyzer rules built in. So within my template, I don't have to think about writing a Pester test to make sure I've got my script analyzer rules, because I'm doing that more than once. I've automated it. But the magic happens in this plaster XML file. And what it enables us to do is to add parameters to our template. So for example, you can see we've got a full name parameter. If we just ran invoke plaster without passing any parameters to it, then it's going to prompt us and say, hey, module author's name, please, and then you can fill it in. And then you also get these things. So this is how we make use of a parameter within our plaster template. So this one is saying that the default value for the GitHub username is plaster parameter full name. And there's a syntax to it, but you'll be able to see how that works. And then we create a folder structure, and then we deploy some common files. And for some of the files, we say, some files are just file source, just copy this file over. Other files, we say they are a template file source. And that says, hey, plaster, this has got a parameter in it. And that means that then we create our module manifest, but something like here, in our template, we could just write, this is for installing plaster parameter module name. So when we create our module, all of those can just be automatically filled in. Because we're doing it more than once, we may as well automate it. We'll make life easy for ourselves. So let's create ourselves a quick module. So the module is going to be beard analysis because, you know, it's something I'm going to come out in the top 20% or so, I should imagine. And we're going to splat out our parameters. We're going to give a template path. Where is our template folder? The destination path is going to be in my Git PS drive with module name. We'll add in full name, the description, a version number, the GitHub username, and a GitHub repo. If the directory doesn't exist, we'll create it, and then we'll invoke plaster. And as you can see, it gives you a little bit of ASCII art at the top. If you were running it without the parameters, it would be prompting you at this point to add in your parameters. And you can see it's creating the folders, it's creating the files with all the parameters, and it's done. Great. Simple and easy. So if we have a look at the module that we've created, looks exactly the same as the template. Excellent. Except that if we look at our contributing, thank you so much. So if If we look at our PSD1 file, then you can see that we filled in our module version and the name of our root module and our author and our description, everything that we've picked up from our parameters. And these also go through into things like our unit tests. So we've already parameterized all of our unit tests, making sure everything is where we expect it to be. This, I'm not going to show you this because I'm going to do something slightly different, but this script from Jeff Hicks just creates you a new GitHub repository. It's really, really useful. So just fire that off, create a new GitHub repository, and ta-da, I've got that. Because I'm doing it more than once, I'm going to automate it. Yeah. So, just for fun, what I did was decided to make use of this page and Microsoft Cognitive Services to analyze all of the pictures on the page and to see if any of them have got good beards. Yeah, and you can see there are some beards there. A few nice beards. Oh, there's Yap. Yeah, lovely Yap. We keep going through. I'll go through. Hang on a minute. Yeah, I reckon there's a pretty good beard there. Yeah. So we'll analyze that page. Why not? Let's see what we can do. And what we're going to do. Oh yes, you're not a. I didn't set up a Git. That's cool. We're going to make use of a function we've already written called getSpeakerFace. And what getSpeakerFace does is it goes to that page and it downloads all of the images, or analyzes them all with the Microsoft Cognitive Services API. And that enables you to look at a picture of a person and get a whole load of detail about them, how old they are, what sort of hair they've got, whether they're wearing makeup or anything like this. And one of the properties in this object that comes back is beard. Excellent. So my internet is too slow to do this quickly, so let's bomb ourselves out of that. And let's grab things. I've changed the way I'm doing this demo, so I've forgotten where my command is. So let's switch tasks now. Let's think about some unit testing. We want to unit test our code to make sure that it's doing what we expected. But as you've seen, if my internet is slow, running my test to get that information is going to take me some time. Yeah? It doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to work on it on the plane. It means that if the internet breaks, if the website goes down, if my network adapter decides to play up and not be available, if the Cognitive Services API is not available, or I run out of credits on the API, I'm not going to be able to run my unit tests, which isn't much good, really, because the whole point of writing our unit test is that we test the code that we're writing and nothing external to that. So how do we do that when we have this problem? We mock it. So all I've done is I've got the results. Let's choose the right file. I've got the results in a JSON, and I've stored them within my GitHub repository, and that means that I can just grab all the information. Ooh. Using get content. What have I done wrong there? Missed the dot. Thank you so much. In the wrong folder. let's do this in, nah. We won't do that. What you do is you get the content from your JSON file, and then that becomes the mock for your pester test. And what I was going to do was just show you that within that JSON file is exactly the same as you get back from the website. And I was going to show you what results it gave you for Yap Brasser, because it's kind of funny. But we'll come to that in a little minute through the other stuff we did. So let's write ourselves some code. And now I need to remember where I am. So there we go. We've written our getSpeakerBeard function, and we've written the first thing that says return no speaker with a name like that. You entered speaker. And I've done this in the wrong order, because what you should have done first was run your test. Because the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have a good test that fails. This is your process. Write your unit test, run it and make sure it fails, and then write your code to fix it. That's hitting the same problem as we had before. The test is going to fail because it's trying to get to the internet. So let's keep going. Let's run ourselves, set our load. Where has it gone? There it is. Man, I've gone completely wrong on this. Write your unit test for the thing that you expect it to be. The one little piece of code, that one requirement. Run your test and make sure that it fails. When it fails, excellent, move on and write your code to fix your test. Then run your test again and make sure it passes. Then write your next test for the next thing that you want to add. Make sure that it fails. Write the code to fix it. Run the test again and make sure it passes. And run through that process again and again and again and again until you get to the end. And you're going to go, but hang on a minute, I could write PowerShell code so much quicker. If I just write it and see if I get some red, oh yeah, I'll fix that. Oh, I'll write a bit more, oh yeah, I'll fix that. Yeah, absolutely, you can, now. And when you start going through this process, you're going to write PowerShell code slower. You're not going to be quite as productive. You're going to feel like, yeah, this is taking too long, this is rubbish. The benefit comes down the line. Your benefit comes when you've written a great community module and you want people to come and do PRs and write code and give you improvements and enhancements and fix bugs. Your benefit in your company comes when you are working with a team and everybody else wants to come through and start improving the code. Or when you need to refactor your code because you've added a new service, or you need to do something else different, or you want to split it up into different modules, or it needs to be more granular or more specialized. Because then your unit tests are going to tell you if the new code that you're writing is breaking what you existed wanted. So by writing those unit tests, you're giving yourself confidence that what is going to be, the code that's going to be written is going to be exactly what it is that you want. But you're also giving yourself confidence that when other people write the code for you, that they have a good way of making sure that everything works as expected before they hopefully, push the code into your GitHub repository or into your local Git in your company. And that's where the benefit comes. Because now you're not going to have to fix bugs. Because Chris came into my module and he wrote a load of stuff and now Dba Checks doesn't work. For example, in Dba Checks, which basically runs some pester and creates an output that is in the Power BI file, if you don't name your tests and your context blocks correctly, you break the Power BI. So unless I had some unit tests that Chris could run at home when he's writing the new test for us, and go, oh, I've broken it. I know, I see what I need to do. The test tells me, I've documented my code with my pester. Pester's saying to Chris, you need to name this context in this way. Makes it much simpler for him to contribute to our repo. But it also gives me the chance to think that even if he doesn't, I can run that unit test and I can have the confidence that it's going to work correctly. So you've gone through the process of having a brilliant idea, writing a load of unit tests and code and unit tests and code and unit tests and code and unit tests and code. And you've gone all the way through this process till you've got something that works as you expect it to do. Maybe you do integration testing. All the operations people going, what? Before you hand some scripts out to your colleagues, I bet that you run it against something. You'll run it against some environment or just one server. Yeah? That's integration testing. If you're doing that more than once, automate it. Yeah? Same process. We're gonna go through that. So, we've written our amazing module. And we're going to look at Dba Checks. So Dba Checks got an issue. Identity usage checks fails on the availability group secondary. Oh no, this is not a good thing. So we template our GitHub repository to make sure that when people write issues, they give us good information. Luckily, this fellow with a beard's written some good information in this one. Am I running the latest version? Yes, I am. Okay. Can I duplicate it in a brand new session in no problem? Yes, yep, good, okay. Look, he's so good, he's given me screenshots, shows me how it's broken. This is what happens when I run it against an instance that is a non-read secondary, as the database is not accessible. This is an error. My test is failing, but it should be passing. Oh, look at this. This guy's amazing. He's even written me the code to fix this issue. So look, all you need to do is do this, Rob. Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. And he's tested it. Now, I mean, honestly, this SQL DBA with a beard, I mean, really what he should have done is written the code himself, run the unit test, and created a PR and passed it up. But hey, that's okay. As a maintainer of a GitHub repository for an open source solution, I'm really pleased that somebody's taken the effort to file an issue, and even more pleased that they've written the code to fix it. So let's fix it live. So apparently we need to have this code, and we need to add it to line 131 on database tests. As it happens, I have database tests already open. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do it in my development branch. I could, because I'm the owner. But actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new branch. I say fix, read-only, replica database error. Come on. Oh, I know what I did. I haven't got a branch called that. I needed to create a new branch called that. There we go. So we're going to create our new branch. So on the file system, everything is exactly the same. But as far as Git is concerned, it's keeping a source control of this branch. So it knows that the changes we make now are associated with this branch. but it hasn't made any changes to the master or development branch at all. So we need to find line 131. So look for line 131. There we go. And then we're going to add in our exclude on top of this. So we did just run this command for every database on the instance, and now we're going to paste in the branch name. That's not going to help. That would fail my unit tests. So now we're going to say, right, okay, so actually, I do need a new line. I'm trying to work out where it goes. Thank you. There we go. So set our exclude value to all of the databases that are on the instance that are accessible. So those are the ones that we're going to be able to get that information about. And then run test DBA identity usage against those particular commands. So I'm going to save that. And now I need to type, thank you. I need to run my unit tests. I'll make sure that everything is red. Now we can fix it. So I know what the issue is. The issue is I haven't loaded the module. So we need to import the module so that we have all of the tests so we can make sure that everything's running as we expected. So now I know this is on our wiki. This is how we expect people to add code to our repository, and they can run in 7-8 seconds all of the unit tests to make sure that everything is as expected and we haven't broken anybody else's tests and we haven't broken any of the Power BI. Yes, my friend?
So the reason that you need to import a module, was that because the unit test is generic and you're using a very specific module?
I needed to import the module because normally I would run this as sort of completely, and the module that I was working on would have been loaded. Yeah, okay. Because I'm a developer, I never have it normally loaded. But because I'm just running these one tests, I forgot to follow my own instructions in the wiki page that I wrote about how to do it. So the tests then make use of the modules within the GitHub.
So if you would have run your complete battery of tests, the module would have been loaded?
It would have been loaded and it would have come through. Sorry, to make sure that you're loaded. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So one of the tests that we run is to make sure that in this example, Chris has written the right code to say that our checks are formatted in the right way. And the way that we do that is we make use of the AST. So we get all of our checks, we get all of the content, we get all of our unique tags, and then we push it through the parser and grab all of our describes. And we use this find all to basically find all of our contexts. And then we go just through each one of those describes and we make sure that the name starts with double quotes, because double quotes is one of our requirements that we've set up. We make sure that the last tag on each of the describes is the file name, because that's one of our requirements. I don't want anything to break. When we're checking our contexts, we want to make sure that our title needs to end with PS item or with cluster name, because otherwise the Power BI would break. So when Chris would run that test, when he's written a new test for us, it would break, and it would come back and it would say, because this helps the Power BI to pass the data, the title should end with this. So we give him the information to be able to fix his code, and then he can write a test that's going to work with the Power BI and everybody's going to be happy. And this is just the way that we go through and make sure that everything is working as possible. We check the code that he writes as well. Sorry, Chris, I'm picking on you. We make sure that we're using getInstance or getComputerName. Those are internal functions that we require to be able to go and grab the right servers to be able to get things. We make sure that we're using a for each method, because we're only supporting PowerShell 4 and above, and this works quicker than a loop. So we're just making sure that we're ensuring that the coding standards that we require are covered, and that anything that we require to make our module work correctly is covered. So we've run all of our tests and we're completely happy. We now need to commit our code. So we've fixed secondary read-only error. We'll then commit our change. This is the change that we've done to this piece of code, and our commit message should always be why. Because any idiot with a beard can look at your code and put it into diff and see what you have changed. GitHub is going to record who has made the change. The important thing is, why did I make this change? So we'll do that, and we'll publish our new branch. And we'll publish our new branch. Excellent, thank you very much. And then what happens is, in our code, oh look, we've got a new branch. What a surprise. Some great person has written some code to fix one of our issues. And now we need a moderator, an administrator of the repo. Luckily, I'm here. So now we could do a compare and a pull request. I considered asking Chrissy if she'd do this bit, but she didn't seem keen. So I'm going to open my pull request. I've fixed the secondary read-only error. So what we like to do is grab the particular, there we go, so that is issue number 431. So we've got a template for our PR as well, and we're going to put, no, not like that. We're going to put fixes 431. In fact, we're actually going to put closes 431, because then that will automatically close our issue for us. So I get a little bleep, oh look, I've got a PR come through. Let's have a look, let's see what we've got. We can see how many commits, we can see what changes have been made if we go and have a look. There we go. Got the files that have changed. Oh right, yep, I could see what he's done. Okay, I think I could either review it, say no, we need some changes to this, please could you review? But you know, I think I trust this guy. I think he's written some good code for us before. So we'll merge this. So we're going to merge this check, and what's going to happen is that our traffic lights are going to start flashing. So there go our traffic lights for our build in development. This is now going to build. So this is our build process for development. So let's have a look at what we're doing. So there's this guy called Chris, who I have been picking on for this. But Chris has written a task for VSTS which will run pester tests for you. You basically tell it where the pester tests are, and he will take care of the rest and publish you out a nice XML file. Unfortunately, there's a bug in that when you have required modules, which Dba Checks does, they need to be installed before you can run the checks. And his task doesn't support that at the moment. I know that he'll fix it. I know that that's something on his pipeline stick. So I need to do this just with some PowerShell. And if you go and look at somebody's task and it doesn't quite do what you want it to do, remember, you can always run a PowerShell task in these CI tooling. And if you write good PowerShell, then you can make it do what it is that you want it to do. So we're going to install all of the modules that we need. We're going to make sure we're grabbing the version that we require from inside the manifest. And once we've got all of those, we're doing some try-catch with a write error. So if it fails to do that, it's going to fail my build, because we need to keep our eye thinking about what's going on here. And then we're going to run our pester. And running the pester is as simple as that. Install the module from the GitHub repository, which has been automatically downloaded at the beginning of our build task. And load that code. Now that's important. You notice I don't have Dba Checks installed on my machine because I'm developing against it all the time. Because I need to make sure that when I run any tests, I'm testing against the code that I've written and not against the actual Dba Checks version that I've got from the gallery. And then we grab our test results, and as long as our test results failed count is not equal to 0, then carry on. Otherwise, we've failed our build. We write out an error to say we'll fail our build. And then we use the publish test results task, which basically says, where are the XML files and what are they called? Ding, ding, ding. Oh, zoom it, don't fail on me now. Nope. And where should I search? And that's it. It will publish those results. And it's still running. Excellent. So, once our development branch unit tests have run, I'm now completely confident that I can publish this change to the gallery. So I don't need to go and do anything extra. I don't need to go and sign the code. I don't need to update the version. I can just let VSTS take care of that. And the important part is to remember is that the confidence comes because all of our unit tests have passed. Assuming that all of our unit tests have passed. There we go. So as you can see, everything is green. Green is good. We could go through and have a look. Our published task has come through. Here are our checks. We've run 417 checks. They've all passed. So that's what's giving me the confidence to be able to automate all of this solution. If we have a look, if we change the filter, we can see, wow, that you just closed the page, Rob. Well done. You can let's change that filter there. Control and 1. Nope. Control and 1. But you can see we've got all of our checks. We're checking that the pester test is correctly formatted for Power BI. We're happy that everything is going to go through. If we go back to our code, we have a look at our development branch and we look at our commits, we can see we've got a nice green tick. And the green tick is telling us that VSTS has run and everything has passed. And if we were to go on that, that would then open up into our build page and we could investigate it if we wanted to or something went wrong. But now I'm pretty happy that we could just go straight into master. So let's change our branch to development. Obviously, we need to pull down our new... Thank you so much. I'm going to do this. We're going to pull down our new changes from development. So they've come through okay. So now I can do a git status. We're in development, so we will now check out master. Branch is up to date, everything is good. So now we will merge development. So now we've updated that. We will now push our changes up to GitHub. It goes through, finds the remote, pushes up our changes. If we were to go back in here and have a look in master, you can see we've got some updates there. If we go back in here and look at our dashboard, we can see that our build is now running for our master branch. So if we look at our master branch, what our master branch is doing is downloading our secure file. So we're going to sign our code. Sorry, my friend. I didn't click. I did that on the command line. Sorry, was I too quick? So, yeah. So I did. This is what I did here. So I pulled down development. It got the new changes we just pushed, and the test had run successfully. Oh, I missed the merge word. Yeah. So then we merged. Okay. Cool. So we're going to sign all of our code because it's really important that Dba Checks is supportable within corporate environments. And we want you to have the confidence to know that what we've written, what is on GitHub, is the code that is running on your environment. So we need the certificate. Obviously, we're not going to put that in our GitHub repository. That would be silly. Anybody could steal it. So we make use of VSTS's secure file. So you go to build and releases here, and then you've got a library, a secure file, and then you can add your file. But we also need to make sure that we've got a password. So we make use of our VSTS variables, and we put in our GitHub. It's got our GitHub pat token. It's got my certificate password, and it also has my API key for the PowerShell gallery stored in there. And in this task, we then... Oh, no, don't do it that way. Do it this way. Again, it's just PowerShell, so we don't have to worry about how we do it because we know how to write the PowerShell. What we're going to do is we're going to automatically update the version number in our manifest file, and then we're going to commit that change back into our repository. And we do that by making use of this pat number and adding in a bit of config, add in the file that we've changed, and say why we've done it. Now notice, this is something that Chrissy doesn't like very much. But we have to put ****, no CI, no _CI in capital letters, ****. If we put that in our commit message, it stops VSTS from automatically running the build when we push our changes. Because otherwise you end up in the situation I did when I first set this up, where it committed this and set off another build. And that build would finish and it would commit the change and set off another build. And you would stop. I want to automate things, but stop. So just remember that one. And then we need to sign our code. Stop minimizing that file. And basically, we just grab our certificate from our secure location, and that's how you do it. And sign our files using get authenticated code signature. And then everything will be signed. So hopefully, by now... Next thing we do is we then publish our artifact up. So this artifact is then available within the VSTS API. If you ever want to go back and see what was happening, it is there for us to download what was in this build and release at that moment in time. So kind of similar to being able to go back and look in your GitHub at an earlier version, but we just got the whole thing in one spot. And then we update our development branch in the same way to bring those changes back through. And now that build is finished, it is automatically kicked off our release. Because once our master branch is ready, once we've signed all of the code and we've updated the version number, we don't need to do anything else. We just need to publish it to the gallery. And let's hope we can beat the automation to the task. So right now, it's just finished, typical. Anyway, let's go back to our releases. What our release is doing is, here is my artifact. That's the thing that we created with our master build and pushed up. And here is our task, our PowerShell gallery task. And what we do is we say, with my trigger, after release, just once I get a build artifact that's ready for me, just run this task. Task, it's just a PowerShell script. Because the publish to the PowerShell gallery task didn't quite work as I wanted it to. And it's one line of code. Publish module, grab the path of the Dba Checks, pass in my NuGet API key, and once that's all finished, if we have a look at our latest run, we're green here, so we could open that and have a look. It's just going to say I ran everything and it was good. There we go. We look at our logs. There we go. I ran everything. Everything worked. But here are our logs when we're trying to do everything. We have a look on our dashboard. You'll be able to see that we know that our last development run passed. We know that our last master passed. We can see how long it took to run the test and how many tests we run. And we can see that our release version has gone up to the PowerShell gallery. Now, one of the other things you can do within here is make it badge enabled. So you can take this badge, or take this URL, and put it on the front page of your GitHub repository, and you can see that everything is passing and has succeeded. And as we just saw, in the gallery, Dba Checks 1.1.122 has now been released live in the PS-Conf EU. Okay. So in summary, continuous delivery of PowerShell modules to the PowerShell gallery is easy. You can set it up really simply. If you have any questions, you can just throw them at me and I will help you to answer them. Plaster, you can use to template your module framework to enable you to build those modules nice and quickly and easily. You use Pester as a unit testing framework because you want to make sure that the code that you are writing is doing what you expect it to do. But also in this scenario, as an open source maintainer, what you're making use of the unit test for is to have confidence that everything that somebody else has written and they want to push into your repository is going to work how you expect it to do. And then you can just let the automation take over and you can automatically run your unit tests. And if that passes, if you're really brave, and once we've done this a few times, I think I probably will be, we'll get to a scenario where I will have a PR for development, and as long as my development build passes, I'll just automatically trigger it to run the master build. So then all I will need to do is have a look at a PR, make sure it all makes sense, make sure everything looks like it runs properly. I don't need to think about running the unit test and checking the code because I can just press confirm, merge that in. It's going to run in development. It's going to run those VSTS tasks, do all the unit tests. If they pass, it's going to build my release artifact. So it's going to update the version number. It's going to sign all of the code. And then it's going to make that artifact available for my release task, which is going to publish it to the PowerShell gallery. And that means that I can put as many changes through as I like. But here's the thing. Every single one of those versions that you update and push into the gallery is going to be available in the gallery for everybody to see. So don't use the PowerShell gallery as your test bed. The PowerShell gallery is not the place where you chuck something up and then install it and see if it works. That happens earlier down the pipeline. The thing that you should be deploying to the PowerShell gallery is a completed piece of code that works as you expect it. And you should have confidence in that because you run your unit tests beforehand and made sure they all pass before everything goes through. Everything that I have shown you is free. So you should be able to run your build agent. It's not going to take longer than 60 minutes to run all of those tests, probably. And you should be able to work with less than 240 minutes a month. So this means that now you can just take control and you can just keep adding newer and better enhancements to all of the PowerShell modules that you write and share them on the PowerShell gallery so that other people don't have to reinvent the wheel. And have fun. Create some modules. Go and do it. Anybody got any questions? 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 Yes, sir.
So where do we find the free code signing?
The code signing certificate was not free. The code signing certificate was actually donated to the SQL Collaborative by Data Minds, which is a company based in Holland. In fact, Andre Kaman, who's one of the speakers here, is one of the owners of that company. So they kindly donated that for us.
DigiCert does offer MVPs for free. The reason that we got it donated to us was because we wanted to have it under the organization instead of associated with the person.
Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Maybe it's not really to this relation, but when you publish to the gallery, this key is yours, or how crazy is it publishing?
Okay, so when we publish to the gallery, whose key are we using? So when you're in the PowerShell gallery, scroll up, thank you, you'll need to sign in. And once you've signed in, let's try that. Once we sign in, always protect yourselves. Have 2FA on all of the things. Bum. You click on your username and, oh, it's there, good. You can then create your key. I'm not going to show you my key, for obvious reasons. No. But then you have that key. So everything that gets published to the gallery is going to be published under that key, which means it's under my account. But if you're in a collaborative organization, if you wanted to, you could set up a collaborative account and make use of that key. Yes, sir.
I've got a small question and another small question. First off, what is VS Code Insiders?
Sorry, say again.
What is VS Code Insiders?
VS Code Insiders is the daily release of VS Code that they make available for you. If you go to code.visual studio, there's a great big green button that says download Visual Studio Code, and underneath it there's a little button that says download the inside, a link that's download the insiders.
Okay, cool. And the VSTS, is it capable of running your build in VMs or somewhere else, like Vagrant or something?
So the question is, can VSTS run my builds in on other places? Oh, I've got the blue flashy light. Yay! Achievement unlocked. So yes, the answer to your question is yes, you can. You can set up use a different number of hosted agents, but you could also, as you see, that's Rob's. So that agent is actually hosted on this machine if, for some other things that I do. Yay, smiley face, excellent. How many more? Any more questions? If you've got any more questions, please feel free to come and grab me in the corridor and I'll be happy to answer. Go and get some coffee. Oh, there are stickers at the front. Please help yourself.